What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And today, we got more updates on the potential Richie Sambora reunion with Bon Jovi. And I got a lot of thoughts on it. And we're going to see some of the things Richie had to say. And I want to talk about this down below. I feel an obligation, he said, to the fans. Richie Sambora reveals he's planning a Bon Jovi reunion and wants to make new music with the band. I made a previous video. There were some rumors going around of this potential possibility, and a lot of people thought, no way, impossible, which I don't really get that, because if you've really followed music history, bands, people breaking up and leaving and getting back together and reunions, it's a part of rock and roll history. It happens all the time. It's the norm. It would be actually kind of weird if Bon Jovi never had a reunion with Richie after he left, or with anyone else after they left. It was just kind of weird. Bands always have parts that come and go. You try to keep the band, you try to always keep as many people in the band to make the band credible. You don't want a bunch of newbies and then one original, which there are bands out there. Survivor, last I saw Survivor, I'm a huge Survivor fan. Last I saw them, they really have nobody except the original guitarist and original member Frankie Sullivan. Everyone else is gone. I mean, that band is like almost a cover band at this point, almost a tribute band. And speaking of them, there was a situation originally where they were actually in a lawsuit with Jimmy Jamison. They seemed to hate Jimmy Jamison. And then one day out of the blue, Jimmy Jamison came back and was the lead singer again. You just never know. There's a lot of money on the line with these bands, especially Bon Jovi, who's playing in huge arenas. And right now, more than ever, Bon Jovi needs, if they're going to keep going, they got to do something. And we're going to get into that, because there was a major problem we all know about in the 2022 tour, which I'm going to touch on and Richie touches on as well. Sambora has a reveal that he plans to reunite with Bon Jovi and make new music with the band. The 63-year-old guitarist who's recently unmasked his potato, as the masked singer said, he has discussed rejoining the Livin on a Prayer group, okay, because he feels an obligation to his fans. Okay, I know as the writer, you try not to say Bon Jovi, repeat the same thing. You want to come up with a different phrase, but the Livin on a Prayer group, that's not the best. That's not great. However, he is unsure when they will be back for more live shows, because Jon Bon Jovi, the frontman, has been having a little break. Yeah, after being plagued by vocal issues. Speaking to Leona Graham on Absolute Radio, Richie said, "We're talking about it. I don't think there's any reason not to at this point." He continued, "I made the decision when I started to work here in London over the last 6 months, hooked up with a couple of these artists, and we started to work together, and I started to write with the other artists and making my own records. And now I'm saying to myself, how am I going to ignite this? Let's put on a potato header." Here's Richie right now. He says he's got an obligation to the fans, but also said Jon was having a hard time with his voice a little bit there and needed to take a little bit of a breather. You think? And I'm not sure, honestly, a little breather is going to help, because he had a little breather and he did have COVID. And the only hope, I guess, is that, COVID-19 really messed with his voice. But I've been looking and watching a lot of video. I haven't made a whole lot of videos on it lately. I didn't feel there was a whole lot else to say. But I have been trying to just kind of watch some 2019 videos, watch as that tour went on, and try to identify really if I can tell that his voice was going downhill before COVID. And it was. There's points in 2019 where it was really bad. He had been touring, though, at that point for 3 years, so it's kind of understandable. The entire tour, even back to 2017, he wasn't as strong. But again, understandable. We all understand you age. Nobody expects Jon Bon Jovi or anyone else to sound like they're in their 20s or 30s forever. But what happened this year or last year on that 2022 tour was just a shocking thing, that for the first time, he literally couldn't hit a note. I mean, it was just something very, very weird. And everything just, it was like, okay, this is over. This thing is over. So is that going to change? Can he recover with time? I don't know. I'm not an expert. I wouldn't think so, without some kind of a surgical procedure, something to fix this so that he can actually have some range. He has no range. He has no confidence up there, it feels like, and not as much as he's used to having, because he knows that what's happening. He knows this is bad. It felt like he just wanted to get the tour over with. Lip syncing, Livin on a Prayer at one point, just a total embarrassment where he's running around the stage, acting different, didn't even do a very good act of it. And all in all, man, I mean, it was just bad. And I feel like it was time to call it quits. I'd love for Richie to come back and put out some new music with the band, because I know in the studio they can do studio magic and make it work. And I think with Richie helping out, it would be great. I mean, it would, an album I think would sell really well. But how do you tour? I mean, unless if you can do some kind of a live pitch correction, I wouldn't so much mind that. You know how they do it when they record the shows and then we can hear them afterwards with the sound from the soundboard. And you hear the pitch correction, it actually sounds halfway decent. I don't know if they're capable of doing that live. At bands I've been, we never mess with pitch correction because we have singers who can actually hit the notes. But in this particular case, someone let me know, like, is that possible or not? Because it seems like if it's possible, they'd have been doing that. So, and obviously with as much money as Bon Jovi has, you would think that would be no problem. The fact that they were not doing that live means, I don't know. I mean, I know some kind of version of it's possible, but can they do it to the point that it sounds actually like he's hitting notes when he's not? I don't know. I'm a musician, of course, but I've never messed with pitch correction, so I'm not an expert on that. I've had such a privilege and opportunity, and this is not BS. It's really true. My life is pretty good. Always been, and I get to do what I love for a living, and it's a damn good living. I never really stopped. So here's the entire original 5. Cool that they got this picture before, tragically, of course, Alec John Such passed away. But we still have the other 4. Obviously, we have Huey on bass. It would be essentially the original Bon Jovi band because this is the band that's been officially touring together since the 90s and all the way back to these days if they can get Richie back. And then, of course, you also have Huey, who's been there since Runaway and possibly has been recording on the albums. And it hasn't been Alec. It's actually been Huey this entire freaking time, I think. Love Alec and everything, but those 5 would be genuinely Bon Jovi. There's no question about it. Now, if they're up to the task of touring and John's up to the task of singing is a whole different question. But Richie said there's a new solo album coming out probably at the end of March or the beginning of April with Bob Rock. It's a rock record. That's going to be amazing. I think he's talking about a solo record. Now, Richie as a solo artist is absolutely incredible. His albums kick ass. I need to start the review series on that. But I don't think he's never really seemed like he's been that great at like marketing himself as a solo artist, doing tours where he's hitting a bunch of cities and playing his catalog, playing stuff like Stranger in This Town, playing stuff like Hard Times Come Easy. And also, of course, you're going to play some Bon Jovi stuff like Wanted and other songs that he's written. And just kind of going out there and having a backing band and just rocking out and playing these songs doesn't happen. It doesn't seem to happen that much. You know, he just kind of sporadically plays some shows here and there or, you know, has his different projects that he's done. But yeah, I mean, I wish he would just really have really promoted his solo career. He's such a great artist, a great songwriter, great singer. And as far as that, people have told me, you know, he can't sing either. I don't agree with that. Yeah, he can't sing like he used to, but that's expected. Like I've said, that's expected. He can still hit notes. He sounds like Richie Sambora. He hits the notes. Jon, I can't really say that about him. I can't say that about Jon anymore. I think that he's just blown his voice out. This is what I've said. I'm not trying to be mean. I just feel like he's blown his voice out for the 200 show tours. I mean, even as recently as 2017 for the This House Is Not For Sale, did they do a nice little tour and then rest a couple years for the next album? No, they went all at it. 17, 18, 19, world tour everywhere. Long 2.5 hour shows. They went all out. With Jon's voice at the verge of collapsing, they still went all out with a 3-year tour, and then they were going to tour in 2020, but they didn't do it because of COVID, and that gave them those couple of years of rest, and it didn't matter. 2022 is bad. I'm not even going to lie. It was so bad, and the more I watch the videos, like I've never seen anyone. It might have been one of the worst. I mean, I guess the only comparable thing I can think of is the Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston tried to tour 2010, 2011-ish. And just because Whitney is known for being the greatest vocalist of all time, the voice, and she comes out and just has this just very, very weak voice is just jarring. That's probably, you know, the most shocking example I can think of, but there's been lots of examples of older, you know, singers who just, they don't have it anymore. They can't sing like they used to, but you know, to the extent of what we saw in 2022 with Bon Jovi, that he actually can't hit notes. Like he's not in key. Like it sounds like an amateur at karaoke night. Like I've never seen anything like it. And I don't mean to harp on it, but It's just, that's the one thing that's really concerning about continuing this band and trying to tour again. I don't know how you do that. And I didn't plan to go to any more shows just because like I've seen them in their prime, and I've seen them in 2022, and I don't see any reason to spend hundreds of dollars if they're going to go cheaper and go play at the state fair or county fair. I'm there, you know, but if you're going to charge $150, $200 for a big arena, I'm going to pass in the future. But if Richie comes back, it becomes all of a sudden very tempting. You know, Richie's going to sing a few songs. He could sing I'll Be There For You. He can sing pretty much any of the songs that they have. And they share vocal duties. I don't know. It'd be tempting to check it out. So bringing Richie back, it feels like a smart business decision right now. Fans like me who are like, yeah, I'm not going to be going anymore, might go to another show to see the entire band with Richie, Tico, David, John, and Huey. Oh my goodness. Very, very tempting stuff. But I still would have to watch the YouTube videos first before committing to go into that, because who knows? John's voice can't get any worse. 2022 it can't get any worse. If it does, you just can't do it. You just can't do it. And I seen Elvis there. Speaking of that, John said he would not be the fat Elvis, and he's already is the fat Elvis. He needs to retire now, because I'd rather see the fat Elvis any day of the week in 1976, 77, when he actually could sing. It was before my time, so I never got a chance to see him, but that would be amazing because he could still sing. Loverboy Mike Reno, he is very much overweight. You know, all due respect, love the guy. I met him. He's really cool. But he's a big guy. He doesn't look like he did in the 80s, but guess what he can do? He can freaking sing. So, John, you look great. Look like you're in shape, but guess what, man? You can't sing. And unless you get it back, I don't think, a whole step down. What are they going to go? 1.5? 2 steps? Going to go 2 steps down? So instead of, you know, what was I playing earlier? That's the original key D. It's all the same. Only the names will change. Yeah, so that's pretty hard, but go down a whole step. Much easier. It's all the same. Only the names will change. Really? We're going to go down, but we're going to go down lower now. Now we're off 2 steps flat. It's all the same. Only the names will change. Every day. It seems we're wasted. Oh, well, maybe you can do it. I don't know. Anyway, thank you guys so much. Let me know what you guys think down below. Make sure to hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button if you love Bon Jovi. I talk Bon Jovi. I'm going to be starting more music reviews, and I'm going to be doing all kind of rock bands. Poison is one that I've been planning to start, and I've just been so busy with my other channels, so I really apologize. I want to get back on it here. I'm going to try to do so very, very soon. You guys have a great day. Hit that thumbs up, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe, and we'll see you next time.